What's up, guys? So recently I have been having a ton of my viewers asking me like, how do I build? Where do I even begin? Because there is so much to learn. So I decided to start a series going from the very basics of like, what settings do I need to change, all the way up to how to do high ground retakes and piece your opponent. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, stick with me and let's get to it. There's one setting we need to change before we even begin building, and that's making sure you are not set to Combat Pro. So you're going to go into your settings and you're going to go all the way over to the controller, and it's called controller mapping. You're going to go down to presets and go to controller bind presets. You want to make sure that you are not on Combat Pro and that you're set to Builder Pro. I'm set to custom because I have changed some of my keybinds, which we will get to later in another episode. But you do not want to be on Combat Pro. You want to be set to Builder Pro. The other setting that you want to turn on is under Controller, and you want to have Build Immediately Builder Pro on. So I do highly recommend using advanced options for your sensitivity, but if you're not quite there yet, no worries. I do recommend you trying to use like a 2.0 build sense and like a 2.2 edit sense, maybe somewhere around there. So basically what these numbers mean is whatever your horizontal and vertical speeds are sent to, your build mode is going to be 2 times faster than that, or 2.3 times faster than that. And normally you want your build sense to be quicker than your normal look speed. Some of you guys may not know this, but there is a game mode called Creative in Fortnite, and you can go in and create your own maps. You could create box fight maps, 1v1 maps, but it's also the best place to just practice and go build without having to go against real opponents and feel like the pressure of like not knowing how to press the buttons. So let's jump into Creative and I will show you how to enter your own map. So this is what you're going to see when you first come into Creative, and you'll notice that we have this over here that is lit up gold, and that means that it is yours. If it is somebody else's, it's just going to be blue, but yours specifically is going to be gold. And this is your world. You can create multiple maps, you can do whatever you want in it. It is yours. Other people cannot go into it. There will be a default map set up that you can just go into, like I have created one to just practice in, but what you can do is go up to this little computer and you can go to create new. And this is going to have a bunch of just ready-made like starter islands that you can choose from. So like if you want to be in a desert or a volcano or like the ice, like you are more than welcome to. They also just have like grass. We're just going to choose the grass one because why not? And we're just going to call this like building practice. You don't even have to name it if you want to, but we're going to name it. We're going to name it. And what's going to happen is it's going to show up here and we're going to be able to go into it. So we just need to let it load. So you guys can see we have an entire empty area if you guys want to build a map or like you're just wanting to practice. So there's a couple settings we're going to change in this. That way, like when you end the game, the builds aren't still there and you can start over fresh. Because otherwise you're going to all stay here and we don't want that. So what we're going to do is go into start and then island settings, down to round and then end conditions. And you're going to notice that time limit is set to 5 minutes by default. And so that means every 5 minutes your game's going to end, and that's just kind of annoying. So we're going to change that to none. So now when you go and you start the game, you'll notice your building materials are set to infinite. So you can literally build as much as you want and it'll never stop. And then when you're done, you'll hit start menu and go to end game. And you'll notice all of the builds have been erased after we ended the game. I do, however, have my own map that I have built, so we're going to go into that. Before we begin, I just want you to have the mindset that this is not going to happen overnight, and it is going to take you a long time to start building like some of the players you see in game or in videos. With that being said, we are going to learn all of the different build pieces, some of the basic builds that you will see players doing, edits for each individual piece, piece control, different peaks, game sense, and finally some high ground retakes. Alright guys, so to get into build mode for Xbox, it is going to be B and it is going to be O on PlayStation controller. So there is 4 different builds. First, we have a wall, which is right trigger. We have a stair that is left trigger, a floor that is right bumper, and a cone that is left bumper. And some people call it a pyramid. I like to call it a cone. But those are the 4 different build pieces that people are using. What you'll notice is if you hold down a build button, it will continue to build that piece until you are no longer pressing it. There's one piece in particular that does have an extra benefit, and that is the cone, because you are able to place a cone further than any other piece. So if you're trying to learn piece control, which we'll get into that later, you can get a little bit further with the cones than you can a stair. The other benefit of a cone is that you can edit any 2 tiles into a stair in whichever direction you want to go. All right, guys, so let's actually start building. The first thing I recommend is just go build, because again, it's all about muscle memory, and you getting used to what those buttons are going to do when you press them is huge. It doesn't have to look good. Like, just go press buttons. See what happens if you press 2 buttons right after each other. Just go build stuff. You know what I mean? And you may get stuck, like maybe you like press stuff and like, oh, you hit it. It doesn't matter. You're just getting used to what all the buttons do. There's no fall damage. Just go have fun and just press stuff. So the first thing we're going to learn is called ramp rushing, and there is a couple different variations that I'm going to teach you. The first one we're going to learn is definitely the easiest because it is just a floor and a stair. But what it is going to do is cover you up above if people are trying to shoot at you. So first we're going to press a floor, and you'll notice there is this like halfway point. You want to be on the opposite side of it, and then you're going to look down and hold stair. And what that's going to do when we're looking down is put the stair above us, so it protects us from people shooting you above. And then you're just going to continue to hold stair and look up. And you'll notice it's just going to keep pressing stairs above and below you. So we'll do that one more time. So we have a floor. We're going to walk, look down, and then put a stair. And then we're going to look back up and just hold that. It is definitely the easiest one, but you're going to find yourself just pressing stair too early, and you end up just going like this. But it is just that initial one. I'm going to teach you one more variation of it. This one is a little bit more advanced, but you have definitely seen players do this. And it consists of a floor, a ramp, and a wall. So we're going to do that over and over. Just floor, ramp, wall, floor, ramp, wall, floor, ramp, wall. Over time, you're going to be able to do it at full speed, and it's just going to take practice. So when you're starting out, you're probably going to miss your timing a little bit and end up hitting your wall. And it's going to happen. It happens to everybody when they're learning to do it. It is just all about your timing and, again, your muscle memory. So I try not to think of it as I'm pressing wall, I'm pressing stair, I'm pressing this, I'm pressing that. It's almost just like a combo. So like in my head, I think of it as da-da-da, 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 instead of those individual things. And that goes with any building. It's just all about the timing of when you press the buttons. The next thing we're going to learn how to do is called a 90. And you've probably heard people say, man, he's cranking 90s out here. So this is going to be that. And it is called a 90 because you do go up 90 degrees every time you do it. So the first thing you're going to notice is that it looks a lot like the ramp rush that we just learned, right? We have a floor, we have a stair, and we have a wall. Except we're turning at the top of it. There is a couple different things, though, we need to keep in mind when we are learning to do 90s. And that is which direction do we want to turn? Because you'll notice if I want to turn to the right, I'm going to be on the left side of my ramp. And that's going to allow me to land on my ramp when I turn and jump. Whereas if I want to go the other way, I need to be on the right-hand side to turn left. The most common way, though, you are going to probably be on the left side of your ramp. So just like before, we are going to place a floor, a ramp, and a wall. And we are going to hold the wall. We are not going to let go of the wall button. And we are going to walk up to the top of this ramp. And as we turn to the right, we're still going to hold it. And we're going to make this little circular motion. You kind of see that? How we just go over and down. And it puts those other two walls. After that, we are going to jump and put a floor ramp. So jump, floor, ramp. And then we were just going to hold the wall again and go up, do our little circular motion, jump, floor, ramp. And it's just that over and over. And you will probably start placing floors above your head because your timing is slightly off or your crosshair placement is not quite there. So what you will notice is after one or two of them, my momentum starts to slow down, and that is on purpose. So what you're going to want to do is do one or two of them and maybe do a ramp rush and then go back into 90s. And that's how you do 90s, guys. So this may be the easiest one, and it's not going to help us a ton now, but later down the road when we start talking about piece control and editing, you're going to want to have the muscle memory down from doing this. And it is just a floor and a cone, just over and over. Because eventually we're going to start doing this and like piece controlling kids and double editing, and you're going to want to just be used to doing that. So I recommend just go around the map and do floor cone. Just da-da, 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 da-da. And that's kind of the timing that you're going to want to get used to, if that makes sense. The last thing we're going to do is learn how to box up properly, because you will notice in a build game there is kids in their boxes. So this is what it looks like to do it correctly. See how I have every piece? There's all 4 walls. There is a floor and cone above and below me. If you've ever tried doing it, it might look something like this, where there's just like extra walls everywhere and it's just wasted mats. And that's because you're not doing it in the correct order. So the correct way is going to be placing a wall first, and then you will slightly look up so you're in the upper half of the wall. And then you were going to place a floor and a cone, and then you will go back to your wall, spin around so you get those 3 walls, and then you will look down slightly, jump, and hit floor cone. So we'll do that again. So it's going to be wall, floor cone, walls, spin, jump, floor cone. So full speed. It is going to take some practice to get everything to be a fluid build, but that is how you do it cleanly. So I would just practice it, you know, a little bit before every game. All right, guys. So I think that's where we're going to end it for this first segment of the series. But if you're actually serious about learning to build, I recommend you spend 10 to 15 minutes a day in creative if you can, even 5 minutes. But being consistent is going to help you build that muscle memory. And if you stick with it, you are going to see improvements. I promise you that. It just depends on how much work you really want to put into it. But I do recommend everybody learns the basics. Whether you want to learn to edit and piece control and all that, knowing the basics will make builds a lot more fun for you. Guys, thanks for watching. If this video did help you at all, please leave me a like and subscribe to the page to see more of the episodes in the future. If there's any other content you would like to see, leave a comment under this video and I will see if I can make a video on it.